Hey guys, super exciting show today. We're going to dive into sports cards. A lot of people ask me about this booming market. Joe, how do I get into sports cards? Which cards should I buy? Which cards do you have? What do I do to get in? Should I collect? Should I invest? Which brands are the best? What do you do? Which card should I buy, Joe? I keep getting inundated with these questions. Sports cards are booming, and I want you guys, Council Nation, to be a part of this major trend right now that I think is going to continue on an upwards hill, and I want you guys to benefit from it significantly. So I'm going to dive into some sports cards that I have, their values, how they've gone up, and how to get into it, what you need to know, everything here in this show. Sports Cards 101. Let's dive into it right now.
Taking off the gloves, I've had enough, it's in my blood. I was born for this.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. We're going to dive into sports cards here today. Before we get into this, head on over to manscaped.com. Get yourself a trimmer, lawnmower 3.0, amazing products, ball wipes, everything to take care of your sensitive area and not worry about getting cut or nicked in those sensitive areas. Manscaped.com. I use the trimmer. Amazing product. Good quality, good finish, good build. Treat yourself. Manscaped.com. Use promo code SHOWERLION. You're going to save yourself around 20% on the purchase. Why not save some money? Get yourself a premium product. Treat yourself right now. Manscaped.com. Link below here on YouTube or head on over there. Manscaped.com. Use promo code SHOWERLION. You're going to absolutely love the product. I assure you guys, okay? So, you guys know me as a fantasy counselor. That's what I do. I'm going to continue to do that on a top level this year. It's going to be a huge year for fantasy football. And this year, I got to tell you, man, fantasy, sports cards, sports betting, completely dominating the market right now. It's absolutely huge since the world situation has happened. A lot of people staying home, and they are finding an outlet with fantasy football. Even people that didn't play fantasy football are starting to play fantasy football. So I've got so much good content for you guys for fantasy. So again, get that 16-round draft solution. If you're new to fantasy, if you want to get into fantasy, there's a link here below to get the 16-round draft solution. Video training. I tell you all the optimal players to secure on your roster for 2021 fantasy football. You can pre-order for the lowest price right now. Amazing. You're going to absolutely love it, guys. Okay, you're going to crush your leagues. So let's talk about sports cards. Let's talk about which ones to buy. You know, which brand I like that I think is the number one brand, which is pretty obvious. What you're going to get into that if you are more advanced, you probably already know. Specifically, what is a sweet spot? Which card should I get? Some tips and tricks, more practical insight. And again, it's kind of like investing. So it's like I can't give you advice. This is just what I feel has worked for me. So in no way am I giving investment advice for this. It's up to you guys to make an educated decision on which cards you want to get, okay? I'm here to offer what has worked for me and what I believe is effective. So what may work for me may not work for you, okay? This is what I feel based on trends, based on experience is working for me for sports cards. So I'm going to share that with you on how you should go about collecting sports cards. Again, this is not investment advice. This is just my opinion on what works, and it has worked for me. So it's very important you take that in. Don't say, Joe, I bought this card. It didn't work out for me. It's all your fault. I don't want to hear that, guys. I hear that in fantasy all the time. A player didn't, I give you 10 players that work, and then that one player busts, and you guys always bust my balls for the one player that didn't do well. Guys, not my fault. I gave you 10 other players that did well. You just got to use some common sense, guys. Common sense ain't that common. You got to start using it, okay? So that's my disclaimer. So what do you do? Which brand do you get? What do you do? So first of all, when I collect sports cards, I look for upside. So I'm going to show you a couple cards that I have here that have a ton of upside. You can see one in the background right here. So let's start off with the Josh Allen here. Okay. October 2019, I purchased this Josh Allen card. Let me see if it'll focus in here. I think it's just more focused on me. I got such a good camera that doesn't want to take its focus off me, but you can probably see it here very clearly. Josh Allen rookie auto. I got this card, believe it or not, for $150. This was when everybody was on the Baker Mayfield train. Now this kind of relates to fantasy football, okay? So everybody was on the Baker Mayfield. I said, no, Josh Allen is a little bit better than Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker's having a pretty good season this past season. I understand he's pretty good, but I think Josh Allen is a little bit better than him, okay? So when you look at Josh Allen, $150 for this card, the last one I saw listed, I think, was around $4,000. He's a hot commodity right now. Everybody wants a Josh Allen card. Now, I want you to notice something about this card. It is Panini Prism. Prism is the top brand. It is popular. So when you're on eBay, that is a search term, right? You're most likely not going to be looking up a Don Russ, Josh Allen card, right? It's just, a score or, maybe a Contenders. Contenders is a big brand if you get that. Flawless, there's other brands. But this is the brand that I think, in my opinion, based on my experience and my research, Panini, the Prism ones are the hot cards. So this happens to be a Panini Prism. I guess you call it a silver. I'm still learning this stuff, guys. There's still stuff I'm learning. But again, I'm sitting on quite a bit of money here based on the decisions I've made a couple years ago. I've been collecting since I was 8 or 9 years old, but I never got into it as serious as I am now. So Panini Prism is what you want. Ideally, the silver cards, particularly in basketball, is what you want. Even the base cards are doing well if you're on a tighter budget. So that's number one. So the Prisms. Number two, upside player. I paid $150 for this card on a player that I think had a lot of upside, similar to fantasy, right? You want to bet on upside, guys that could break out or potentially break out because you get them at a cheaper margin. Now, this is where this works against you, right? Because there's uncertainty. With uncertainty comes the fact that the player could bust. And you're probably saying, well, Joe, you probably bought a lot of cards they busted. Not really. I mean, I did get a Marvin Bagley card at the same time. I paid around $80. He's about $300. He kind of didn't perform up to par. If you guys know Marvin Bagley in basketball. But overall, I'm doing pretty well because I'm really good at picking winners. And I do that in fantasy football and I do that in sports cards. So this is around $4,000 at least. I may list it, I may not. And you got to know when to hold them, when to fold them. Now, I still think there's a ton of stealing for Josh Allen moving forward. I'm still not sure yet. I mean, if I sell him now, we're kind of in the playoffs. If he leaves the playoffs, it might go down. If he has a good year next year, it goes up. If he wins the Super Bowl, gets MVP, this is a $10,000 card. Maybe not 10,000, but you know what I'm saying. It's going to really inflate. So do I hold for major upside, possible decline, right? Or do I sell now and get a good $4,000? That's a decision I got to make. That's what makes it so much fun, right? Got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, okay? So let me give you some other cards. So also notice, I don't mess around. I go PSA 10. So Panini Prism, upside players, PSA 10. So if you don't know what PSA is, obviously it's a grading system. And what I like about PSA, it's kind of like the industry gold standard right now. It basically gives you a barcode on the back. And literally I got a new iPhone and I took a picture of this thing, or I held my phone up in the photo mode, and it actually scans this card. Now I can do that for you right now. This is really cool. Let me check this out. So if I go to my camera on my iPhone, I got my camera. I'm going to hold it to the back here. As I hold it to the back, it pulls up a website code. I'm going to show you guys right now. It's checking my browser. And that's why I like PSA so much, because it's integrated. So it actually gives me the verification number, it pulls it up, and it tells me how many are in population. There's 164 of these right now. Okay? So it makes it a rare card. It gives you all of the analytics right here pulled up for you. So PSA is what I use. Again, a lot of people ask me, like, you can go Beckett. Beckett's good. I heard Beckett's like a little more lenient. I don't want to say lenient, but it's kind of like you might get a better grade with Beckett because I think PSA looks at the whole thing, whereas Beckett kind of breaks it down, gives you a little more of a competitive advantage. Again, I'm getting into this now, still learning it. All I know is I just don't mess around. I just get a PSA 10. You don't need to know the details. That you're going to pay a little bit more. So then you ask raw versus graded. What do I do? I got a couple raw cards. I got a Russell Wilson signed rookie card that I just haven't graded yet. It may not grade a 10, so I'm a little concerned that it may not. So I'm keeping it kind of raw. I may sell it raw. Gives people that buy a little bit more uncertainty and excitement. And they may pay more. Who knows, right? But don't mess around, guys. Get yourself a PSA 10 Silver Prism, whatever player you're getting with upside, okay? Now, let me show you some other cards I have. Love this card. It's a Luka Doncic card, okay? This Luka, I was actually in the market. This was like October 2019. I was looking at this. Right now, we're in 2021. Luka's obviously blown up, done really, really well here, okay? So this Luka card is a 10. It's a 10, PSA 10. These cards are going for around $9,000 right now. I paid $550 for it back in 2019. This card is mint. I love this card. It's a hot card. Everybody wants it. I think there's around a population of 1,900 of these worldwide. Now understand, guys, why I like basketball so much is because it is a worldwide sport. Now, football, more Americans will probably like it. Basketball is a little more worldwide, so I think there's more of a demand for this. I think that's what makes basketball a little more popular. So again, what am I doing? I went for an upside player. I went for a player with upside. Very important. I went for the player that was really starting to trend. His name was getting out there. His cards were not dirt cheap. $550 is not cheap. But now when it's $8,000, then you say, okay, now I got a really good return on investment. Another guy, Trae Young. Okay, another PSA 10. I paid $370 US in and around October, November 2019. This is at a $4,000 to $5,000 card, and Trae continues to succeed and do well. So Trae Young, guys, a PSA 10 right here, 10 out of 10. This card, easily $4,000 to $5,000. So you can see what I'm doing. So let me break it down what I collect, and I'll let you know. Now, you can get a vintage card, like you get a Thurman Thomas card, or you get an Emmitt Smith card, and then they make a documentary about them, and they could blow up. Now, we saw the card with Michael Jordan card started to inflate when his documentary come out. Tiger Woods cards are inflating now with the documentary coming up with Tiger Woods. So you can get these cards, hope for a documentary or a Netflix series, and then boom, now you got a card that's worth a lot more. Now, I don't really bank on that. I like players with upside. Now, again, when you are playing these upside guys, you remember the risk you're coming with, right? They could or could not break out. That's something you got to deal with if they don't break out. But if you're pretty educated with selecting these players, you're going to do really well, which is what I've done. So how do I spot out? So right now, how do I spot out a player that really could do well? What I look at is I look at first, second, or third year players. I look at rookies. I look at the scouting reports. I look at them coming in. I don't really trust the scouts all the time. They make some bad decisions. But I also look at the team that they're on. Let's talk basketball. So I look at some players that are coming in, right? Now, the LaMelo card, everybody's hyped up about him. He's doing pretty well. You got to look at guys that are coming in that are on a team that they could succeed, right? Brandon Ingram's doing really well now, but he's never going to be the one on his team, right? I like to aim for the guy that's going to be the one on his team. But Zion, right? He came out really expensive out of the gate. Didn't want to pay that, right? I want to get a player. Maybe Tyler Hero could be good, right? Upside there. There's a card you may select, right? So you got to look at a guy that's first, second, third year that has upside, could be the one showing trends that he could have generational superstar talent. That's what I look for. I like to hit for the fences, swing for the fences, and go for those home run hitters. That's what I do. If you like vintage players, you want a Jerry Rice card, scout it out, look for it, right? I like the new trendy, shiny cards with the upside players. Look at the nice shine on that. People like this stuff. It's cosmetically nice looking. It's what we like, okay? So that's what I do. I go for upside. I go for PSA 10. I like rookies ideally, or second or third year players. I like Panini Prism silvers. Now, there is other ones like Select is doing really well. Mosaic. There's other brands that you could consider, but stick to the trending brands, okay? And I like basketball and football PSA 10s. And when I look at football, I look at quarterbacks. That's another tip, right? I did make I don't know if I want to say a mistake, but I got caught up by the shiny look of the card. I ended up spending around $2,000 on a Justin Jefferson rookie card. If he gets MVP, that card could boom. It is a rookie. It is a patch. It's a sticker auto. People kind of frown on sticker autos. That's another thing. People ask me, do I need an auto? Not necessarily, because this is a $9,000 card. And I didn't believe it at first. I'm like, shouldn't there be an auto on this? There isn't one. And the fact of the matter that there isn't one scared me. But the fact is, it doesn't matter. It's a silver prism. It's a rookie card. It's a hot player. It's a PSA 10. And that's what matters. It's the brand, right? So again, when you're looking at these players, it doesn't have to have an auto on it. If you want, now here's the problem. When you have these autos, right? When you put an auto on it, right? The problem is that the player touched it maybe. If it's an on card, it may ruin the grading if it's a raw card. So make sure if you do get an auto on card, it's PSA 10, but then you're paying a premium. So you kind of find that sweet spot. And in order to do that, you got to find those young guys, rookies coming in, get their PSA Silver Prism 10 before it really, really inflates. If you can get it for $1,000, good. If he breaks out, it's an $8,000 card, right? So that is my advice on this. Everyone keeps asking me, Joe, what do you do? Which cards do you buy? Now you know. Upside basketball players, silver prisms, PSA 10s. I don't mess around, okay? And with quarterbacks, rookie. So I'm looking at Justin Herbert's right now, okay? I'm looking for quarterbacks that could boom, right? Now, I did get a Dak. I spent $750 a couple years ago. It's a flawless card. It's called Flawless is the brand, Panini. It's an on card. It's at a 25. I looked at it. I scanned it with the PSA 10. came up as a populace of 2. There's only 2 of these cards that are rated out of 10 right now on the planet. Out of those 25, it's a serial numbered out of 25, right? I've got one of them. So that card, if Dak gets MVP, breaks out, does well, that's a $50,000 card. Easy. Like easy, all day. We see the Mahomes cards. One just sold for $90,000 signed. So you got to take a look at those guys. I missed the Mahomes train. I missed it. I regret it. I miss it. But there'll be another guy. Maybe I'll get the Trevor Lawrence Panini Silver Prism. Maybe I'll get that one. Maybe I'll get the Herbert Prism. And he breaks up, becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the league. The reason I go quarterbacks because they're the centerpiece of the offense, right? Their cards hold value. Quarterbacks stay in the league a little bit longer, and they get a lot of media attention. Media attention is very important when you look at sports cards, right? And I guess that's what makes basketball so well. You can see their faces, right? With football, like a running back, right? You know, they're great, but they have helmets on. You can't see their faces, right? Maybe it's part of it. I don't know, but I think it is, right? You can't see their face, and running backs break down a lot easier. Their longevity isn't there, right? You know, even the best running backs, right? So I like to get wide receivers a little better. Maybe if you had like an Odell, if he had continued to do well, he busted for 4 years. Had Odell, if you got his rookie card, had he been going? He's got the face, right? He's got a good face. He's got a marketable face. He's a marketable player. He's a wide receiver, a little more longevity, right? You may have done better with him. Okay, Russell Wilson, marketable guy. You do well with him. Pat Mahomes, marketable guy. Lamar Jackson, marketable guy. Do you get the picture? Now, be careful with running quarterbacks as well. I kind of fear that. Lamar Jackson, as good as he is, you know, history shows us, be careful. You know, where they run, they get hurt. Might hurt your card. Literally. You get hurt twice. You get hurt for seeing Lamar get hurt. That hurts. Then you get hurt because your card gets hurt. That's another thing I look for. So basketball, not as physical sport, right? There is injuries. It happens. But, you know, you do a little better, and their faces are always up in front, right? They're on the court. There's more games. You're constantly in people's faces, right? International sport. That's why maybe it's doing so hot, right? So that's my advice to you guys. Hopefully this helps. I'm really passionate about it. And check this out, guys. If you want to join my lives, we're doing pack breaks with Phantom Cards on Instagram at Fantasy Football Counselor. Join us. We're going to be doing live breaks. I believe we got to figure out that. I think Thursdays, Sundays, Tuesdays, I believe, are the nights. Follow my Instagram story for more information. But again, hopefully this answered a lot of questions on which players to target and which players to get for sports cards. You guys are going to absolutely love this passion that I'm sharing with you guys. Continues to boom. So make sure you guys subscribe, leave a thumbs up. We're going to talk fantasy, sports cards, everything, sports betting, all this right here for you guys. Make sure you subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and we'll talk soon. Hopefully this cleared up a lot of stuff. Aim for those PSA 10s, silver prisms, football, basketball, football quarterback, basketball, up-and-coming players, and make sure you spend wisely. We'll talk soon, guys. Leave your comments below. Let me know what you collect. We'll talk soon.